I forgot to start recording. I need to find, after I've simplified it, I need to find the domain, vertical asymptotes, holes, horizontal asymptote, and I think that's all for this one. So I did cross something out, so I know I have a hole. So I have a hole, and I cross an X out, so I know, oops. So I know I have a hole at 0 somewhere. So how do I find that somewhere? I take that 0 and I plug it back in, right? Where am I going to plug the 0 into? My simplified equation, right? So I'm going to plug the 0 into the simplified equation, and I'm just going to come over here and do that. So I get 0 plus 3 times 0 plus 1 all over 3 times 0 plus 2 times 0 minus 2. So that's a 3 times 1 over 3 times 2 times negative 2, which is 3 over negative 12. So that would be negative 1/4. Okay? So there's my hole. And then a vertical asymptotes is what makes the denominator 0, right? So what numbers make my denominator 0? Well, I have x equals positive 2 and x equals negative 2. Any questions there? Are we okay so far? Okay, and now for my horizontal asymptotes. So let's talk about that. So what we want to look at when we're trying to decide what our, so how do I want to say this? Remember, we have 3 rules. Let's talk about the rules first. We have 3 rules, and it's all looking at the exponent. We're all looking at the exponent on both the top and the bottom, right? So I'm looking at the exponent, or the degree, however you want to look at it, exponent. So the first situation says if the top m is less than n. So the top is smaller than the bottom. So my top exponent is smaller than my bottom exponent. Okay, so like I have x squared divided by x cubed. Let's just say that. Then I have my horizontal asymptote would be, what would it be? Y equals 0. Done. Okay, it's just y equals 0. Okay. The second situation says if that top exponent equals that bottom exponent, then my horizontal asymptote is going to be y equals a divided by b, which are a and b are the coefficients of the terms. So it's the coefficients of those terms, right? So whatever number comes with the top one and whatever number, it's my leading coefficients for each term. Okay? And then the third situation says if the top is bigger than the bottom, then my horizontal asymptote, I have to do, how did I put? Then I use long division to find, I don't have a horizontal asymptote, I have a slant asymptote. MPTOTE. So I use, if the top is bigger than the bottom, that's the hardest one. If the top exponent is bigger than the bottom exponent. So now I'm just going to look, what I'm going to do right now is I want to just look at my exponents. And I'm just going to go ahead and look at my original equation. My original equation, I have a 3 and a 3. So which one of those categories does that fall into? That they're smaller than or greater than, or that they're equal to? They're equal. They're both 3, so they're equal to each other. That means my asymptote is going to be, I'm going to take my coefficients, and that's what my horizontal asymptote is going to be. So y is going to equal 1, it's 1 here, divided by 3, 1/3. That's it, done. If they're equal, that's all it is. Okay? And I think on your Delta Math yesterday, they didn't do any slant asymptotes. I think they said because they only asked for horizontal asymptotes, and a slant asymptote is not horizontal. So I think that I'm not sure what wording they used for it. So if it happened to be the third one here, you just said, I think it said no horizontal asymptote because it's not horizontal, it's slant. So you either, for your answers for your delta math, it would be either y equals 0 or y equals a over b. And those are the only two answers you could have had for yesterday. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and then we need to do the domain, the domain on this. So I have a hole and I have my vertical asymptote. So that means I'm going to go from negative infinity to negative 2, and then negative 2 to 0, and 0 to 2, and 2 to infinity. I think that's all the stops. Negative 2, 0, and 2. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Anywhere I have a vertical asymptote or a hole, I've got to make that stop in my domain. So there's 3 stops there, so there should be 4. Yep, that's it. Okay. 4 pieces of my domain. I should not have written that one so far over. Okay, I'm going to erase this. So I have room over here for number 2. Okay, number 2, we're going to simplify again. So let's see, what can I factor out up here? Well, I think I can factor a negative 2 out. And I'm going to get, let's see, x squared plus 7x plus 12. Yeah, that looks right. And on the bottom, it doesn't look like I can factor anything. And then, let's see, negative 2, 3 and 4. Yeah, 3 and 4. X plus 3 and x plus 4 divided by x plus 3 and x plus 2. So the x plus 3's go away. And my equation simplifies to negative 2 times x plus 4 all over x plus 2. So I do have a hole. I have a hole at x negative 3. Negative 3, yep. And how do I tell where that's at? I take that, and the negative 3, and I plug it in wherever there's an x in my simplified equation. So I've got, let's see, negative 2, I don't have to go over so far. Negative 2 times negative 3 plus 4 all over negative 3 plus 2. Negative 2 times 1 all over negative 1. Negative 2 over negative 1. So that should be 2. Yeah, that should be right. And then I have a vertical asymptote, but whatever's going to make my denominator 0. So that should be x equals negative 2. And then let's look at a horizontal asymptote. So again, I'm going to look at my exponents, and they're 2 and 2, so they're even. So even says, they're equal, so that means I'm going to have y equals a over b, so I'm going to just take the coefficients of each of them. So that would be y, forgot to change back to a pen. Y equals negative 2 over 1 or negative 2. Okay, awesome. And then my domain, is there any questions on that? Does that make sense? A little bit more sense now, Paige? Okay, great. And then my domain is just my hole in my asymptote, so negative infinity to, let's see, negative 3 would be first. And then negative 3 to negative 2, and negative 2 to positive infinity. Okay, any questions? Are we okay? Home? Here? All right, so let's go ahead and do the third one. And I can't simplify it. It's already simplified. Thank goodness. There's nothing I can do to the equation to make it easier. So do I have any holes? Did I cancel anything out? No. So there's no holes. None. Okay. Where's my vertical asymptote at? X equals -3. Beautiful. My horizontal asymptote, I'm going to look at the exponents. Yes, there are no exponents. There is. It's to the first power. They're the same, right? So it's going to be y equals 1 over 1 or 1. Okay. This makes my domain really easy because there's only one breakpoint, which is my vertical asymptote. So -infinity to -3. And -3 to infinity.
If there's more than one exponent, like in either of them, you just take the leading one?
The leading one, yeah. The degree, yeah, the biggest one. Yes. Okay, and the last one, I think we're going to simplify this also. So the top stays the same, x squared minus x minus 6. I'm going to factor in -2 out of the denominator and get x squared minus 4x plus 3. And this factors to, let's see, x minus 3 and x plus 2. Yes. And -2 is going to be x minus 3 and x minus 1. So I've got the -3's that I can take away. So I get left with x plus 2 all over -2 times x minus 1. Okay? Questions? We okay? Not too bad so far? I mean, some of it's just review, the newest part, and it looks like all the whole warm-up, my horizontal asymptotes are the same because all the exponents happen to be equal to each other, but not the same as in equal, but the same rule. So I do have a hole, and my hole takes place at 3, and I plug it in, and I've got 3 plus 2 all over -2 times 3 minus 1. So 5 over -2 times 2, which is 5 over -4. So -5/4. Just vertical asymptote at x equals 1. Horizontal asymptote at y equals 1 over -2. And then, what's the last one? Domain. Domain, we've got 2 places, 3 and 1. 3 and 1. So -infinity to 1, that's lower. 1 to 3. And 3 to infinity. There you go. Okay. Okay, awesome. So now we're going to do the last part before I actually put out everything together and graph. And it's finding x and y intercepts, which you've done like forever for every graph known to mankind, right? And it's done exactly the same way, okay? So to find the to find the y-intercept, I set x equal to 0 and solve for y in the simplified equation. We don't want to do this in the unsimplified equation, so I'm going to simplify first, and then I'm going to set x equal to 0 and solve for y. To find the x-intercepts, I set the numerator equal to 0 and solve for x in the simplified equation. And I'll show you why it's only the numerator in just a moment. Okay, so it's pretty easy. And solve for x. And then, of course, I just show you a picture of where the x and y intercepts are in case you don't know. right? Y-intercept is on the y-axis, x-intercepts are on the x-axis. Okay, it's the same. They're the same definition of what they've been forever. Okay, so let's do this. All we're doing is finding the x and y intercepts. That is it. Okay, so let's see, which one do we want to find first? So let's see, let me make this big enough. So to find the y-intercept, I'm going to set x equal to 0. Okay, so that means anywhere in my equation, wherever there's an x, I'm going to put a 0. So I'm going to get 0 minus 2 over 0 minus 4, which is negative 2 over negative 4, or 1/2. So my y-intercept, let's just go ahead and put it in here. Y-intercept should be 0, 1/2. That's it on that one. To find your x-intercept, really you set y equal to 0, right? So I'm going to show you why I only have to do the numerator right now. So if y is equal to 0, it looks like this. 0 equals x minus 2 over x minus 4. Well, then then you cross multiply, right? So I want to think of how I want to say this. So then I get x minus 2 equals, times 1, equals 0 times x minus 4. Well, what's 0 times anything? 0. And it happens every time I do this, it's going to be 0 times my denominator. So I don't need my denominator. It just gives me my numerator, which is x minus 2 equals 0. So I just take my numerator and set it equal to 0. Does that make sense? So I just kind of skip that step if we know that, because I'm just multiplying by 0. So I just take my numerator, set it equal to 0. So I'm going to add 2. So x equals 2. So my x-intercept is going to be 2, 0. I only have 1 this time. Which are here and here. Okay. And then if we go to number 2, we're going to do the same thing over again, right? I'm going to simplify first. Remember, our equation says in simplified form. So I'm going to simplify this. Great. So if I take a negative 4 out of here, I'm going to get x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay, so if I factor, I'm going to get x plus 3 and x minus 2. Yes, that's correct. And then times negative 4 times x plus 3 times x plus 1. So those go away. And my equation is going to be x minus 2 all over negative 4 times x plus 1. So to find my y-intercept, my x is 0. So I've got 0 minus 2 over negative 4 times 0 plus 1. Negative 2 over negative 4 times 1. Negative 2 over negative 4, or 1/2. Okay, and to find my x-intercept, my y is 0, so I'm going to take my numerator, which in this case is x minus 2. Oh, that is not a 2. X minus 2, and set that equal to is 0. Add 2. So it should be 2, 0. Questions? Not too bad so far? Okay, awesome sauce. And then the last one, woo, okay. So if I take a 3 out, I get x squared plus x minus 6. Yeah, that's right. So I should get 1 over x plus 3 and x minus 2. Yeah, that should be it. Okay, so my y-intercept, 0, should be, let's see, 1 over negative 18. I just went back to the unfactored form, right? So this is 0, this is 0, I'm left with negative 18. Okay, so negative 1/18. That would be horrible to graph. And my not y-intercept, x-intercept is going to be set y equal to 0. Set my numerator equal to 0. Does 1 equal 0? No. So guess what? None. I don't have a y-x-intercept this time because 1 cannot equal 0. Okay, you guys want to try? And have you guys try find the x and y intercepts now. And I'm going to leave it here. Let's just start with those ones. Start with the easy ones. Okay, so what are we doing? I have my answer so I get the right ones. That would probably be a good answer, good thing to have, right? So I'm going to simplify the equation so I can factor this to be x plus 3 times x minus 2 all over x minus 2. So the x minus 2's go away. And so I'm going to get x plus 3. So I have a y-intercept at 0. And then I put a 0 in and I get 0 plus 3, which is 3. And an x-intercept, I set equal to 0. So 0 equals x plus 3, subtract 3. So I get negative 3, 0. Okay. And then for B, we're going to factor again. And I'm going to get, let's see, x minus 5 times x plus 3. I think that's what it is. All over x plus 5. And so there's nothing to be simplified there. So let's see, y-intercept is where x is 0. So that gives me 0 minus 5 times 0 plus 3 all over 0 plus 5. So that's negative 5 times 3 over 5, which is negative 3. So that's negative 3. Beautiful. And my x-intercepts, so I take my top and set it equal to 0. So x minus 5 times x plus 3 equals 0. So that means x is going to equal 5 and negative 3. Forgot parenthesis there. So my x-intercepts are 5, 0, and negative 3, 0. Okay. Are you okay with that, Emma? Do you have any questions?
Oh yeah, that makes sense here.
Are you even paying attention, Emma? Y-intercept is where everything's 0. So I've got 2 on the top and 0 on the bottom. So there are none. There's none. None. 2 divided by 0 is none. X-intercept, x times x plus 1 times x minus 5. Oh, I did the denominator instead of the numerator, didn't I? Okay, let's try that again. Negative x plus 2 equals 0. Add x. X equals 2, so that's going to be 2, 0. Whew. All right. Getting a little bit harder because we're getting some more complicated equations now. So I'm going to get 2x all over x minus 8. The x's go away, so I get 2 over x minus 8. Okay, y-intercept. I get 2 over 0 minus 8, or 2 over negative 8. So that's going to be 0, negative 1/4. Yes. And then my x-intercept, 2 cannot equal 0, so I have none. Right? Okay, so E can't be simplified at all. So my y-intercept is going to be 0 minus 1 over 0. So that's none, because I can't have a 0 in the denominator. X-intercept, 3x squared minus 1 equals 0. Add 1. 3x squared equals 1, divide by 3. X squared equals 1/3. Square root. X is going to equal plus or minus the square root of 1/3. 1/3. So I've got the square root of 1/3, 0. And negative square root 1/3, 0. Yick. Okay. Oh, my Lanta. Okay. Yes, honey. Yes, you can. Okay, so here we go. I really don't think I can factor the top. 2x and x. 3 and 3, that's 6 and 3. No. Yeah, it can't be. The top can't be factored. Okay, beautiful. So my y-intercept is going to be 0, 0, 0 plus 0 minus 9 over 0 minus 12. So 9/12 or 3/4. Okay, x-intercept. Okay, I can't factor that, right? So how am I going to find out where my x-intercept are? If I can't factor a quadratic, I can't do completing the square, how can I solve a quadratic? What's the one sure way I can solve a quadratic? The long one, yes, which is the quadratic formula, right? So I have to do the quadratic formula. So I know that A equals 2, B equals 1, and C equals -9. So x is going to be -1 plus or minus. Do I need to write that down? Do I need to write down what the quadratic formula is? Does everyone remember? Yeah, so x is going to equal -b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Quadratic formula, okay? So -1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times -9 all divided by 2 times 2, which gives me -1 plus or minus the square root of 1 plus 4 times 2 is 8 times 9 is 72. That is correct. All over 4. So this should equal -1 plus or minus the square root of 73 divided by 4. Okay, at least it wasn't too terribly a lot of simplifying. So that means this is going to be -1 plus or minus the square root of 73. I'm only going to write one of them, even though it's 2, right? I've got plus or minus, so there's 2 x-intercepts. There's -1 plus the square root of 73 divided by 4, and then there's -1 minus the square root of 73 divided by 4, right? I just don't have enough room to write 2 of them right now. Okay. Whew. that sucked. Oh, okay. Try the last three. We've got three more. I'll make them big. 3 more to go. 3 problems so you can work on homework. So G, can't be, I mean, I could probably simplify the denominator, but since I can't simplify the numerator, doesn't matter, so I'm not going to simplify the equation is already simplified as possible. So to find the y-intercept, I set x equal to 0. That means I have 0 minus 4 over 0 plus 0 minus 5. So that's 4/5. And then my x-intercept, set the numerator equal to 0. So 5x cubed minus 4 equals 0. Add 4. X cubed equals 4. Divide by 5. How do I get rid of a cube? Cube root it. So if I cube root one side, I'm going to cube root the other side. So x is going to equal the cubed root of 4/5. So this is the cubed root of 4/5, 0. Sorry, that should be a little more curved. There's my x-intercept. And then M, by the way, we already simplified this equation at the beginning of class. I just took it and moved it down to this section. It was in our warm-up. So the simplified version of this equation is x plus 3 times x plus 1 all over 3 times x plus 2 times x minus 2. And so for my y-intercept, that's going to be, let's see, 0 plus 3 times 0 plus 1 all over 3 times 0 plus 2 times 0 minus 2. 3 over negative 12, so that's negative 1/4. Beautiful. Okay, y-intercept, x-intercept. Set your numerator equal to 0, so x plus 3 times x plus 1 equals 0. So x is going to be negative 3 and negative 1. So I've got, let's see, negative 3, 0, and negative 1, 0. And last but not least, same. This is also from my warm-up. We've already simplified it once, so I'm just going to write the simplified. 2 times x plus 4 all over x plus 2. So my y-intercept is going to be negative 2 times 0 plus 4 over 0 plus 2. So that's negative 4. And my x-intercept, so I'm going to take my numerator, negative 2 times x plus 4, set it equal to 0, divide by negative 2, x plus 4 equals 0. So negative 4, 0. Done. Questions? Okay, that's it. That's how I find my x and y intercepts.